Hey, people. So I didn't even know what the BMG was when that happened. I ain't ever watched no BMG awards. And I'm sure that everybody did. They were scared and they ran and got their shot as soon as it came. And all those people, you better run and go get you another shot. You're going to need it. And I don't recommend this for anybody else, but I survived through the last 5 with just a little vitamin C and zinc. But I'm not human, I'm mostly demon. So if you want to learn biblical Greek and biblical Hebrew, this is the best place in the world if you want to know the truth. And to everybody else, trying to confirm some belief, they're going to think I'm a demon. But this is a name is on, a name is on. Sow, to plant, to sow. To a name is on. This gonna yak O's. A woman that you're gonna get with, she is gonna yak O's. It's not just any woman. And the name is on to a spermatos. A sperm and matos. That's which is from sperm, the seed. And the double S means this reads as a Y-O-U, you. And that's where they're getting this your from. The sperm from you. And a name is on to a sperm motto sought. The S-A-U-T, the sought this. The sought this ought to. And then you again, the double S. You 3C. Of you the 3C. Love failing, of fallen, and so. And so 3C saw to upturn paternal, P-T-E-R-N, and what you upturning is the serpent. It's where the word herping, you're upturning stones looking for a serpent. And so this is coming from the vex thereon, V-E-X-T-H-R-A-N, the vex thereon. Vex thereon, and this is the same word as thesis. I will put and these and vex thereon these. So a name is on sow, on plant. The vex. You done been affected with, you marked by, vexed, a problem. So I get all this off of Bible Hub, and I pull it off and line it up, and it makes it easier to see what it says. And the New Testament Greek, they'll give you a lot more information. And the same to the Old Testament Hebrew. You get a lot more information, a lot more known about it. And so I had the advantage of not going to school to try to learn this, but just opening the book up and trying to read it. And it sounds like any old hillbilly that was self-educated. It sounds like Homer. But in this Hebrew, you'll see this bink, B-I-N-K, binked, bonked. You see the same word sometimes is the daughter, female, in the midst of, in between it, bink. And this of in is often the son. And it usually comes in the other direction of in bink, sons and daughters. So over here, instead of repeating, a name is on, they just say of in. Of in the ass, of in is rock, of in is row. The R-O-E, the seed, the sun. It's the roll, R-O-L-E, the odal. Who is of crash, K-R-A-S-H. Who is of crash, what it's upon, woken, W-O-K-B. This is the word where Jacob comes from, but woken. And so this line up the top, it means to read this backwards. And so it's the way be, W-A-Y-B-E. The way be, and then back the other way, E-V, behavior. Be the V-I-A, via the way be way, how you go. The way behavior was it in ink, be bink in ink. And so that would be, the Phoenicians, they were extracting the ink from the snail for the purple dye, for the sedative, and the way behavior was it in ink, written permanent in ink. In ink of in, has, hoove in, HAS, EUVHUV, hoove, IN, to has, hoove in, is rock of in is roll, rock and rollin'. The woman that you has, the has the ass, and hoovin is rock. The rock is your seed. Of in his roll, his job who is of crash, what it's upon woke, done woke the baby. The vexed are on this so. So it kind of appears that's what it's saying, This is a V of vex, and vex there on thee so. And so not hatred, but I would put a curse on you, and vex there on thee so. And so this is where the curse of Cain began. He's born, first line, next chapter. And vex there on thee so, a name is on so. Name is on planet. And a name is on this gonna yakos. Except this gonna yakos, usually it's got another A over here, AIA, gonna yakos, when it's a woman you want to get with. But this is actually to go NACOs. And it's talking about Gemini here. He used the word Gemini before this. So the poet doesn't want to double it up. But even more than that, while he's writing this, he's looking up in the sky, And it's not the sperm with two, but it's the spear from at. And so your name, and it's talking about astrology. And so, actually, you can't cross up any of these words. These poets written the same language in different styles. And this word for the turn is more of this of in. But, in the Greek, they'll say, the A is not, and no name is on. No name is on. Keep it all a secret. And so they write the same thing here, but, the no is all in this one word right here is a rock. Zero is a seed, is a zero. Seed shaped like a zero given, the zero. And so this is a zero coven, Kuvin. No coven, a covenant, and no covens. And so nothing, no covenant is written, and it's talking about premarital sex. The way behavior was it bink, of in has, who've in zero coven is roll, who is up crash, what it's upon woken. And so, it's telling a totally different story here. It's talking about the story of the Trinity here and how the names come, and it's always talking about the heavens and the days. And this is the big riddle in the Bible, how to figure this out. And it's how they're naming times by where planets are. It's telling the Holy Trinity right here. To vex thereon, to go casting curses, you have to know, what time, what planet, what spirit. The vex thereon this so. A name is on so. And a name is on this go NACOs. A pair of them naked. And the name is on to whisper, WSPER, to whisper from at, as you. And a name is on to whisper from at, as auths, as the writer, AUTHS, as auths, ought as you, threes they'll fall on. And so 3 is ought of, paternin, and you're going to have triplets. So I'm going to go over here and read the rest of this Greek story on down. You see how the woman changes, you're gonna icky. The one's gonna get stuck. And when you see a word follows this hype, and he said, it's where the word hyphen comes from. And often if you look in the Septuagint, it will be spelled with the N. And so it doesn't mean just and he said, but it means hyphen. It means and he said backwards and forwards. Usually when you see that, the next word I'll read backwards, none with. And you see how in the Septuagint, this whole line has changed and made this into 2 words. So you wouldn't read both these words. You'd either just, read this word backwards and forwards, or you would just understand what the hyphen of platoon means. In multiplying, you got the whole platoon on your ass now. But I'm going to read into this. I'm sure y'all be interested. That'll be the next flick. Alright, good day.